everyone, and welcome to the Mayday Morning Show. I'm Michelle Kinney. I'm here with Julie Roginski, and you are watching the Mayday Network. Thank you for being here. Good morning. It is Wednesday, January 7th. Um, First of all, if you're new here, welcome. We're so glad you're here. Please, if you're so inclined to subscribe to this channel, you'll be the first to know when we go live and do lots of special things. And of course, if you want to hit that like button down below, also very helpful. Julie,
Morning.
good morning. How you doing?
I'm all right. I'm good. We got through it yesterday. We got through January 6th. We got
We
through
did.
without any violence, despite the fact that these
There's
violent
a little bit of like fisticuffs outside I saw, but
people were there.
nothing crazy. Nothing
Nothing
crazy.
crazy. But I don't know if you noticed, the White House decided they were going to put out something that was a whole new history of January 6th that began with and I quote, murder of Ashley Babbitt by the awful Capitol Police. And I guess now the people who almost murdered members of the House and Senate are peace-loving friends. I mean, this is like really like George Orwell, right? Like
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
do not believe your eyes or whatever the line is, right? And the thing about Ashley Babbitt that's crazy too is, she was murdered in cold blood. Her family's going to get money, which is insane. She was breaking into the Capitol. She wasn't just breaking into the Capitol. She was right there where the members were and going after the speaker. She had a knife and was about to jump through a window when there was like the Secret Service and security had their guns pulled on these people. And it is a disturbing video to watch if you have seen it. I know it's been everywhere over the last 5 years, but the whole thing is insane. If you watched our interview with Senator Kim, he makes a really good point about how, January 6th was probably the most humiliating day of Donald Trump's life. And so he really felt like he has to paint it in a way that makes him look like a victim and a winner. And that's what he's doing. And that's what he's continuing to do. It's the Democrats had a whole separate thing because the Republicans refused to even acknowledge it. So they, in like a separate room, they had, there was like basically, I don't know how many members there were, but then they had, a bunch of people speaking because they wanted to speak things into the record. And not only commemorate the day yesterday, but to say this happened and this is how it happened. And we're going to keep talking about it. I'd like to play a couple of clips here, Julie. The first one here is from Jamie Raskin, talking about the people who were pardoned by Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump, again, has pardoned over 2,000 people just in his first year in office, which is insane.
And people who are donors to him, people whose mothers came to Mar-a-Lago to $100,000 a plate dinner, and all of a sudden they got to walk. Enrique Tarrio.
Oh yeah, the Proud Boys.
Proud Boys was supposed to be in prison until 2045.
Yeah, now he's out.
He got an over 20-year sentence, and he's out. And he was marching on the Capitol again yesterday.
Yep.
I don't know if folks here saw our interview with Andy Kim yesterday with Senator Kim, but if you haven't, please check it out. It's on the Mayday YouTube channel. But he was saying that he's not particularly optimistic that things are going to survive even after Trump is gone, right? Like that this movement has now gotten bigger than Trump himself.
Yeah, it's metastasized. It's out of control.
Right. And so I got to say, what's going to happen is we're hopefully going to elect a Democratic president who's going to actually have a backbone and who's going to just indict the shit out of all of these people, right? Yeah. Like if Enrique Tarrio so much as runs a red light, I expect him to.
Oh, yeah.
And, what we're dealing with here is then we're going to have a crazy media ecosystem on the right that's going to
That's
be outraged that some Democrat is going after his political enemies and etc. Like, my friends, you open the door.
yeah.
And this is not so much about revenge for us. This is
Right.
about
Like, you
justice.
wanna play this? Okay.
This is about justice.
Mhm,
And we'll get to it in a moment. I think you have that clip, Michelle, of
mhm.
Trump now saying, "Oh, maybe we shouldn't even have elections."
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. We
But
were
but
all bunched
but
in that.
assuming we have free and fair elections,
Mhm.
I'm not looking to move on. I'm really
No.
not. I have to say, we talk about the movie Nuremberg all the time. And again, I'm not conflating the leadership of the
Well,
Nazi party to what's happening here, although
I
it's
don't
true.
think you could have
It's
compared the
true.
Nazi leadership in
3.
1933
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
to 1945, you
Right.
know?
But I will say,
So
having watched that having watched that movie, you think about the fact that there was some accountability for these people.
yeah.
Not all of them, a lot of them walked.
Mhm. A lot of them escaped, fled to South
A
America.
lot of them came here and worked for our and worked for our,
Operation Paperclip or
yep,
whatever it was to
yep,
help, yeah.
because we're so obsessed with the Cold War. We
Mhm.
wanted to take the best and the brightest of scientific minds in Nazi Germany and bring them here and have them work for us. On our space program and so on. Like, I get it. I get it. But there are some people, and my fantasy, which I hope will become reality, is that the first one to go will be Kristi Noem.
Yeah.
Because what she's doing is just beyond the pale.
I
Like,
want her and Stephen Miller first.
yeah. But I'm telling you right now,
Mhm.
watching these people march from the ellipse to the Capitol on the 5th anniversary, laughing effectively about
Mhm.
mocking what
Yeah.
happened 5 years ago,
Yeah.
and Donald Trump having some almost Soviet-like revisionist history about what happened
Mhm.
is just amazing. I mean, this is propaganda. You have a minister of propaganda to do the shit that he's doing.
Yeah. Yeah, and just a stone's throw away, you had Jim Acosta was having a town hall with, Michael Fanone and Harry Dunn and Daniel Hodges and, you know, a lot of people who were there affected, injured, their
Yeah.
lives changed by that day. And that is why I don't ever wanna hear anybody be like, "Stop talking about it, stop talking about it," or like, "Why do you have to talk about it all the time?" We have to keep talking about it all the
Are
time.
you
They
kidding
talk
me?
about it all the time in the fact that it either didn't happen or it was a completely different situation or, "Oh, by the way, now it's the Democrats." The Democrats arranged the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
That's a new thing, just in case anybody's interested to know what they're talking about on the right now, that the Democrats did. It's not even Antifa. It's just the Democrats full out, which again, Antifa means anti-fascist. So, okay.
If that's
Um,
true, by the way, if that's true,
yeah.
why hasn't the Trump administration brought indictments for January 6th against the Democrats, whoever these Democrats are?
Yeah. Whoever they are.
Because they do, because it's bullshit. And
Right.
if you're some conspiracy theorist on the right, your guys are in charge. So why isn't Nancy Pelosi being indicted for January 6th?
Right. Right. And again, even on the right, in the weeks leading up to now, this was like in the last month or so, there's been this, conspiracy theory. So actually, no, it's been a couple months of just because my husband works with like a QAnon person. So in addition to whatever I'm reading,
That's pretty insane, Michelle, because I know where your husband works, and it's insane that people
y-
like that actually work in like real,
this
real
person
places.
went to Harvard. Um, so, so I always kind of like know, and not a bad person, by the way, not a bad person. Just believes all this crazy stuff about how like the Democrats planted the bomb, the pipe bomb, and at the DNC on January 6th, and just watch, we're gonna find out. And it's like, and then who do we find out it is this man who was an election denier and a follower of Donald Trump. Like, I'm just like, and then you stop hearing about it because it's like, well, we can't talk about it. It was one of ours. Oh no. Or like, they just don't want to hear it. They go la 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 la. So, it's this is why it was so important that the Democrats did this yesterday, even though it really was not covered very much by the mainstream media. And
It was
just
it was
before I know,
really. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say before we play these clips, I wanted to point out too something you said really actually struck me, and I had a little bit of like a light bulby moment. Um, you were saying, let's assume we have free and fair elections and we have a Democrat in the White House in 2028. Look what happened when Joe Biden was president with the mainstream media. They spend every single day. Joe Biden couldn't sneeze or blow his nose or do anything the wrong way in their opinion without like an entire show dedicated to it. Donald Trump can incite an insurrection, but Joe Biden did some speech. Remember where he had like a guard behind him or something, and Brianna, what's her face at
Yeah,
CNN,
yeah.
literally created a controversy out of this and a 24-hour news cycle. And his speech was about authoritarianism and like, the whole thing is crazy. So I say all that to say that is why we have to build all of this now. This opposition independent media apparatus. This is why we have to, and others, like, obviously not just us, there's a whole bunch of people who are trying to do this, who have already established themselves. That is why this is so important. Not only just to hold these people accountable now, but when the time comes, we're not going to allow the Tony DeCopels of the world and the Barry Weisses of the world and this ministry of propaganda to tell a different story of what's actually happening. It's actually imperative because yeah.
Speaking of Tony DeCopel, he both sides January 6th yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, some people say this about January 6th, but other people say this. Are you a journalist?
He's a disgrace. He is a
Did you not
disgrace.
see with your own eyes? Now, I will say this. I'm also disappointed because actually I know and really like the new anchor of NBC News. NBC did not mention it at all on their nightly news. David Muir did a good package on it. So if you want to know who's
I like David Muir.
Yeah, of the three, who's actually doing,
He's from Syracuse, just in case anybody was.
Is he really? Oh.
Yeah, and he went to Ithaca. But yeah, I love him. I love David Muir. I think he does a really, really good job. I think he's a serious guy. He doesn't seem the type who would, allow that. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's a serious guy. And not to say that he won't in the future, but at least for now, at least somebody's holding the line.
Yeah.
And also, I don't have the clip, but just in case people don't know this happened live on air. Tony DeCopel was doing one of his reports or whatever, and he's like, and next to Tim Walz, and then there was a picture of Mike Pence. He's like, I mean Mike Pence. I guess we're doing Mike Pence now. And he's like, first day, guys. And I was like, first day?
Like,
Tony DeCopel was, yeah, I'm like, Tony DeCopel, okay. Not first day at CBS News, by the way, like CBS decades. This is the guy who was in the comments section of CBS News. I'm talking about his own personal account, going into the comments section of CBS News, answering to people with blue checks next to their names who were criticizing this new CBS News regime, comparing himself and his new show to Walter Cronkite.
And saying he's going to do a better job than Walter.
And saying he's going to do a better job than Walter Cronkite, who was once known as the most trusted man in America. So I want to be like my friend. Most people don't even know who you are. They don't know how to say your last name.
You know what this tells me, Michelle? This tells me that, like, impartial news is dead. It's just God. The days of Peter Jennings, or the days of Peter Jennings staring into the camera and telling us what the news is long over. And so we got to build something else here. And I think that's what we're doing here at Mayday. And you have a bunch of other people doing the same on the right and the left. But we should just stop pretending that these people are some sort of impartial arbiters of the news and delivering the news. Tony DeCopel, whose name I now, thanks to Jeff Jarvis, know how to pronounce because we got to decope.
Yeah, I was like, I've always been like Tony DeCopel.
Nope, we got to decope with him. But thank you, Jeff Jarvis. But he's made that news. I mean, he's magnified that newscast in a massive way. David Muir, God bless. My husband watches that show whenever he gets home in time, but it's always like, here's the weather, and then we're gonna go to America. Like they're so worried about looking like they're partisan that they now just go here. We're gonna go to America, and we're
It's
gonna go talk.
always an overcorrection.
Yes, we're gonna go to
Always.
always. We're gonna go to like the Hormel. I'm making this up, like the Hormel factory in Minnesota, and we're gonna see like Hormel is giving out free, I don't know, Christmas cookies to people because
Who
they want to help people in the community.
cares?
And it's like, yeah, I mean,
Let the third hour of the Today Show do
yeah,
that. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, like enough.
yeah, and it's like this feel good stuff. And meanwhile, the world is on fire, my friends. Like it's
Right,
on fire. And
right.
I'm not prone to hysteria. And now in the year of our Lord 2026, I have become
I can't believe it's
somebody.
2026.
I know I have become somebody who is legitimately sitting around being like, we're in World War III. And I don't, I'm not
Mhm.
a conspiracy theorist. I'm not somebody prone to hysteria. I believe that Venezuela was the first salvo of World War III because we are
I
now,
think you're right.
for all the different reasons we could talk about another time, where we talked about before, and we'll certainly talk
Yeah.
about again. But that's what's happening. So why don't we have people calling it what it is? Like, and people who watch them are going to be shocked when
Mhm.
this happens. They're going to
Mhm.
be shocked when China moves on Taiwan and then continues to go through
Yeah.
their Eastern Hemisphere, because if we can do whatever the hell we want in our Western Hemisphere, they can certainly do whatever we want in our Eastern Hemisphere. They're going to be shocked when when NATO collapses and potentially countries in NATO declare, ask for an Article 5
Yeah,
on
and then
us,
right.
because we
Exactly.
go
And then
after.
NATO dissolves, and we have a clip on that too,
Yeah.
about a
So
letter that was written yesterday.
yeah. So
It
I just,
yeah.
I just, I'm saying this to say, like, I used to watch, I mean, for people who watched our show with Jeff on Friday, Jeff and I talked about the news that we were loyal to growing up, right? And I said my family was very loyal to Peter Jennings, to the point where if I ever switched over to Tom Brokaw, I would feel like I was literally cheating on Peter Jennings. Like he would know that. Like it was literally like I was having an extramarital affair on Peter Jennings to watch like Tom Brokaw on NBC or Dan Rather on CBS. Like that's the kind of loyalty these people used to engender.
Yeah.
But they're not around anymore. I mean, you have Dan
No.
Rather
I
who
mean,
have.
listen, I love Dan Rather, I felt like was my boo growing up. I always
Yeah,
watched Dan Rather. Peter Jennings, loved him too, but, like, I think of, like, the names, and it's like David Brinkley, Connie Chung, like, these were the people who, and that's why it's for anybody who has seen the, American Girl ad that I did at Seneca Project oh my god, not last year, 2024, which was
right.
now year before last. Um, it was so important for me to like include Connie Chung in it because
Yeah,
like she was so pivotal just as a woman anchoring the nightly news, but as an Asian American woman anchoring the nightly news, um, like she is a trusted voice to deliver the world's most important stories to the American people. Because when people got home from work, they sat down at their dinner tables with their families, talked about their days, and maybe if you were like me, had a TV in your kitchen, and that's where we watched the news. We ate dinner and watched the nightly news. That is what we did. That is why I was a kid who always knew what was going on.
yeah,
Um, and I just like to your point, like it just it just doesn't exist anymore. And like while I think we can and should be nostalgic for that time and for these people, um, we are in a new era. We are in a new era, and it is up to us and others to build something new. And like this is why I tell people I have YouTube installed on my Apple TV. I watch I watch Apple or my YouTube like people watch regular TV. I flip around all day long. I watch The Bulwark, I watch David Pakman, I watch all kinds of people. I watch, then of course you can just watch live streams of the news happening without commentary.
yeah,
You don't
yeah.
have to hear people in your ear the whole time. It's
And
refreshing.
it's refreshing, but I have to say, even the people who used to deliver the news to you straight are like outraged now. I don't know if anybody here follows Dan Rather's wonderful Substack
Mm,
Steady. You should, if you do, because Dan Rather's out there.
yeah. Doesn't like his grandson like help him? Like I remember when he first started like his Twitter account or something. It was lovely, just adorable.
I don't know, no, but I don't know, but he's got this Substack called.
Yeah.
And he's outraged. I mean, like,
Mm,
uh, Peter Jennings is no longer with us. Tom Brokaw, I think, is not in
yeah.
fantastic health. But
Yeah. Yeah.
Dan
Yeah. I even
Rather,
saw when I saw him 10 years ago, I didn't think he looked so good. So,
yeah,
yeah.
I don't think he's in fantastic health. But
Yeah. Too
um,
bad.
but Dan Rather is still with us very much at his advanced age, and he's
Hmm.
basically reporting on what's happening the way he should be reporting on it. He gets it, by the way. He's not giving it to you like looking into a camera anymore. He's writing stuff where he's like
Yeah.
opinionating about it.
Yeah.
So, I want to say this to say that the media is a disgusting letdown. Um,
Hmm.
and I have to also apologize to MS now because I said that I was going to go and talk about Tim Walt's resignation yesterday, and that was the hook. But actually, what we ended up talking about was why anybody in the world would ever want to run for office.
Yeah.
What's
I
happening?
ended up being able
Yeah,
to find your clip
yeah.
and we're going to throw it up today on our
So
socials.
yeah, so and I was able to talk about Andy Kim's comment about how he's basically
Hmm.
worried about going to town halls, which is crazy.
Yeah. It
I
is
mean,
crazy.
it's not crazy, understandable, but crazy that this is the world we're
It's a
living in.
crazy moment we're living in. It's
Yeah,
not crazy to be concerned, right?
yeah.
Absolutely.
Um,
And
so you
yeah,
know,
and yeah.
it's I think it's just MS Now is still doing what they're doing. CNN, my friends, I got to be honest with you. I think a CNN morning show actually those anchors always do a good job, but the
Or like
rest of
John
it,
Berman and stuff.
John Berman and Sarah Side, like those people hold bullshit to account.
Mhm.
Um, and I think Erin Burnett does an incredible job.
She's the best thing
She's the
going
best
over
person
there.
to have there. And I think Anderson
I like
Cooper,
Caitlin Collins too, but
yeah.
Erin Burnett being really like
But
the
Keelan
top
Collins
dog.
platforms
I
people like
know.
Scott Jennings. If you notice, Erin Burnett and Anderson Cooper choose not to platform Scott Jennings.
Yeah.
Platform him.
Yeah, they're like, we're not
We're
gonna
not
have
doing it.
that clown
We're not
over on
doing
my
it.
show.
And
'Cause it's
and
a waste of time. It's just what you're just wasting your time
yeah,
and
I mean,
your breath.
I'm supposed to be doing Abby Phillips' show next week. I'm positive they're going to cancel me because Scott Jennings always gets me canceled.
Yeah, he's gonna see your name on the rundown and
And
go,
be like, no, no. And apparently he runs the network now.
"Yeah,
But the reality is that that show is like, let's all sit around and talk about how much the Earth is round. No, I think the Earth is flat. No, you're wrong. The Earth is round. Like, really, this
mhm,
is what we're platforming.
yep, yep."
So
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly. And I think we can look back at these pioneers of 20th century broadcast news. We can, to what I was saying about the nostalgia of it all, like I think we can look to them to be inspired as to what we are going to build on the other side and to get us through this. Which again, Andy Kim's like he agrees with us. I mean, we've been saying this too. This moment is not over in 3 years. It's not over in 10 years. This is going to be a generational problem.
yeah,
And I know that's exhausting to even think about, but it's just one of those things. You just, I don't want to say like get used to it, but it's like, I always think like, being a woman, you were talking about you couldn't cross the park at night, it's
yeah.
dangerous and that's just part of life and it sucks. But that's just part of being a woman and like, and men in this city and in this world don't really have to think the same way.
Oh yeah,
And it's just you get used to it and you build it into your life. I guess is my point. It just becomes part of who you are and like this is just what we have to do now. And that's just how I feel.
yeah.
To be cautious and we have to be vigilant and we have to be proactive and informed.
Yep, yep.
Informed.
And
So
and don't watch the CBS Evening News where you had Tony DeCopel doing an entire segment about Marco Rubio and how wonderful he is, and he ended it or started it with saying, "Mark," and I'm not kidding. You ready for this, Marco Rubio? We salute you.
oh my God. Listen,
Yep.
if somebody said that on CBS News about a Democrat, I would be like, "What? This is not the time to be saluting anyone."
Yeah.
Unless it's like, Gandhi. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, why
Yeah.
are we saluting incredibly divisive, partisan? people on the nightly news. Like, that is not the place. That is
Yeah.
not the place.
Yeah.
And so into that, we have lots of clips here to show you today. So lean in. And thank you to our lovely friends on the chat who provide us with so many clips every day, in addition to Aaron Rupar and Asen. I always wonder if I'm saying that right. There's people in this world that provide lots of clips for people like us and people who you see on Instagram and TikTok and stuff, for us to be able to bring this information to people. So really, it is like a very large village of people trying to coordinate all of this. So we're going to begin with with Jamie Raskin talking about those who were pardoned by Donald Trump in the insurrection and what they have gone on to do after.
These 33 pardoned insurrectionists have since committed additional crimes since January 6th, including child sexual assault, terroristic threats, domestic violence, and conspiracy to murder FBI agents. And yet, Trump indiscriminately pardoned all of them. When you reward and normalize criminal behavior, of course, you invite more of it. And the president didn't just free his rioters for doing his dirty work, he punished law enforcement for doing their jobs, purging hundreds of career FBI agents and prosecutors just because they worked on J6. He installed actual participants in the attack in the Department of Justice itself. The new U.S. pardon attorney, Ed Martin, tweeted from the Capitol grounds on this day 5 years ago and described the mayhem as Mardi Gras in D.C. His senior counselor at the Department of Justice, Jared Wise, is another J6 defendant captured on body camera footage yelling, "Kill him," 5 different times as police were being attacked right next to him. These leaders at the Department of Justice today have never once regretted their participation in this nightmare. With election deniers and J6 conspiracists Pam Bondi and Kash Patel at the top of the DOJ, it's like the Joker and the Riddler and the Penguin have taken over Gotham City.
It's a good that's a good visual. It's
yes,
true.
it is. I mean, accurate.
I mean, listen, we have people who are calling, we talked about this the other day, who are calling for the indictment of the prosecutors who prosecuted January 6th defendants, the insurrectionists.
Yep.
And they're calling for prosecutions of the judges who sentenced them.
Yep.
Once we do that, we're an authoritarian country. We're actually a totalitarian country. Once we have a judiciary that is going to be punished for doing its job independently, once we have a law enforcement mechanism that is going to go after law enforcement officers for doing their jobs, and it's going to happen. I mean, listen, everything that's happened in the first year, it hasn't even been a year. I think people forget.
I think that it's kind of like the setup. Like, I think that they had to put things in place. They had to do the Schedule F, to purge the federal government in order to replace all of them with loyalists, which is, again, they told us they were going to be doing this. The first article that I read about Steve Bannon talking about this was in like 2022, early 2022. They've been talking about doing this. And that's where I say, like, and we say this, Andy Kim, lots of others, like, if we get through this, it's going to be a miracle, because these people are everywhere. Like, think of like the craziest person at January 6th being put into a powerful job at the Department of Justice. Like, that is what is happening. These are the people who were deciding how and who to enforce laws on to and provide justice, quote unquote justice, to the American people. I mean, it's bananas. And I do want to play this because there is one woman who rejected her pardon.
Yep.
And hats off to this woman. She has been very consistent ever since then. Because I remember when I was over at LP, we were doing a town hall or something like that, and she called in to something. And at first we were kind of like, who are you, January 6th? And she was like, no, 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 I learned my lesson. Like, this is terrible. Like, I deserve to be punished. Like, it was, she's, just listen to her here. I'm going to play this.
Can't gaslight me. I was there. I saw what you did. I saw the officers being pepper sprayed. When I was on the steps, I watched one of them fall down and hit his head and his back. So don't be telling me it wasn't violent. Don't come to me with that ever again. I watched you. I was on the east side, but I saw what you did.
Pamela Hemphill, or I think that's how you pronounce Hemphill or Hemphill, or I don't know how to pronounce her name.
Mhm.
Yeah, and she's inconvenienced the narrative,
Mhm.
as are the officers who were there,
Yep.
like Harry Dunn,
Yep.
like Michael Fanone.
Yep.
They're inconvenienced the narrative, as are all the members of Congress on both sides of the aisle who saw what they saw, as
Mhm.
are all of us who watched it on television.
Yeah, and it's the most photographed and filmed terrorist attack ever. Think about
Yep.
how many hours of film and footage, not just from members of the media, but from the people themselves. They had their phones out because they were proud.
They were proud. We saw what we saw.
Mhm.
And, now we're being told that we shouldn't believe what we saw with our own eyes.
Exactly. And Nancy Pelosi too. God bless. I mean, here's another thing. We never know what we have until it's gone. Nancy Pelosi is a badass, and she is the kind of person who Donald Trump hates and equally respects, because she pulls no punches. She's a very successful operator and legislator. This is why she was Speaker of the House. But she speaks to that day in Donald Trump here.
We were prepared that day under the leadership of Jamie Raskin. He had prepared us in advance to go to the floor very, very legally. It was about the facts and it was about the law. And it was very nonpartisan. In fact, all of our testimony was based on Republican testimony throughout the states that would be in question. We prayed for the president. We said we weren't going to mention his name in our testimonies, the facts and the law, the numbers and the races. And I continue to pray for the president because I could never have had the idea that a president of the United States would incite an insurrection on the capital of the United States, the symbol of democracy throughout the world, on the Constitution of the United States, which he took, and we all took, an oath to uphold, on the Congress of the United States, who that day had the congressional responsibility to accept the results, to certify the results of the election. The list goes on and on. And today, that president who incited that insurrection continues to lie about what happened that day.
And let me just say this, in terms of what we're talking about here with January 6th, because there's a through line here. These people understand that they can get their way by violence, right? They almost succeeded on January 6th. Thank God that day held. I don't know if it will hold again, because what we saw now is that Republicans actually...
A failed coup is a practice run.
It's a practice run. You had Hope Walls, Tim Walls' daughter, go on a podcast yesterday.
Yep.
And she told the person with whom she was speaking,
yep,
that the threats that she and her brother Gus were getting in the wake of that bullshit video that turns out to be complete bullshit, that led to all of this, became...
Again, by the way, the mainstream media, every time you see a headline, it says Minnesota scandal. It's a scandal every time.
Became too much for the governor, for Tim Walz, and he decided to put his family first. And that's why he retired. They're now driving people from office because they're threatening families.
Yep.
To what Andy Kim said, he doesn't bring his children to town halls. They don't really understand what he does because it's too dangerous for them to know what their dad does at work.
Mm-hmm. And if people would like to go watch this interview with her, there's a lot of people posting the clip, like the New York Post, without giving any credit to the person who did the interview, which I think sucks. His name is John O'Sullivan, and he's at 1 Minute Tours. So he has like 65,000 followers on Instagram. I'm sure even more on other platforms. But his name is John O'Sullivan at 1 Minute Tours. So go find him. You can watch the whole interview. It's the new normal. It's the new normal. And that's why when Julie was on MS Now, I can't even keep a straight face when I say it. When she was on MS yesterday, saying like what, like there are people who will let nothing get in their way to be able to serve this country and to try to make change here. But the average person isn't just going to run for office.
You know, the way this was framed originally, when the framers decided to create the House of Representatives, it was going to be people who were going to go farm.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it wasn't farming season, they were going to go to Washington and serve.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to serve for a few years, and then they're going to go back to the plow, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was like literally the House of Representatives, the People's House, the House of Representatives.
Yeah, like regular old people.
Regular people.
Yeah.
You know, that was always a myth.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't regular people who obviously went from the beginning. It was people who had access to wealth and so on. But
white landowners.
Right.
Male.
White landowners. But the reality is men, white male landowners.
White male Christian landowners.
But the reality is that regular people won't do this job. Why would you? I mean, I'm working with a few congressional candidates now, helping them get elected.
Mm-hmm.
One of whom, if you live in New Jersey, I'm not doing his campaign directly, but I'm doing the independent expenditure for it as a man named Tom Malinowski, who's running in the 11th Congressional District.
Mm-hmm.
That election is on February 5th. If you live in the 11th Congressional District, I beg of you, vote for Tom Malinowski, because he's a former member of Congress and he's trying to go back to Congress, and he's amazing and he's great.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that, you know, the question to me is why? Why do you want to serve? Now, he's somebody who's just committed to serving his country. He always has. He wants to continue doing that. He's a public servant. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
I have another person I'm working with who is a doctor, and he wants to go be a congressman. He's actually running in Bonnie Watson-Coleman's district.
Mm-hmm.
She's up for re-election again. And I asked that question to him. I go, you have a really good life. Like, you are a doctor. You are a mayor of your town. You are kind of beloved in your community. You have, you know, why? And same thing, he's called to serve, but I don't think normal people, for the most part, would do this. Like, why do you want to go down there?
Yeah.
It's miserable. It's miserable.
Yeah.
And somebody in the chat said, you know, Sherrod Brown is running again. You know, Sherrod Brown is amazing. Sherrod Brown is a great senator.
Yeah, and who married an incredible woman too.
Married an incredible woman who's a great author and a great journalist. Not Sherrod, his wife. But the question to me is like, you know, you want to go down there and deal with this bullshit? God bless. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
No. And you know, one of the last things I want to play here, because again, like, I don't feel like this is. Luckily CNN talked about it yesterday, and this is something we talked about with the senator yesterday on the podcast, is the plaque that was made for the police officers and law enforcement who were injured, who served on January 6th. I just want to play a clip of John Berman and then Tom Tillis. I want to talk about people who are holding office, who are going to peace out, holding his Republican colleagues and Donald Trump accountable. So we're going to go one clip right into the other.
Capitol. In 2022, Congress voted to honor the police officers who were attacked defending it that day, to honor them with a plaque. But that plaque is not hanging this morning, even though the law required it to be so by 2023. Instead, some Democrats have posted copies hanging outside their congressional offices. The Speaker's office told CNN that the law authorizing the plaque, quote, is not implementable.
And then after January the 6th, I look to my Republican colleagues and say, don't take the bait. People that harm police officers and destroy federal buildings should go to prison. And it's a damn shame they're out, because nearly 3 dozen of them have actually been arrested for another crime since they were pardoned. And here we have to speak truth to power. I support President Trump. I campaigned for President Trump. I would support him again if he ran for re-election, which is not going to happen. However, we acted on bad advice. We let bad people go, and we sent the message that if you come to this Capitol and you've got the right president in office, he's going to let you get past things that would not any one of us would get away with if we did it back in our home state.
You know, I gotta ask this question, because this guy thinks he's being brave and he thinks he's being like a truth teller, but he kind of gave away the game.
Like he's almost.
Yeah, he got to give away the game. I support President Trump, and I would support him again if he ran again.
And he said that so that Donald Trump wouldn't go after him.
But if you support Donald Trump, who do you think led to these people being out?
Right. If you support Donald Trump, then you supported January 6th at this point.
Then why are you giving this speech?
Yeah.
Because if you support Donald Trump, the entire predicate for your speech is that the people on January 6th tried to kill you and Donald Trump let them go, but yet you still support Donald Trump for letting your attempted murderer go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
And then bringing up the thing about running a third time. Like he's like, what, and that's not going to happen. Which leads us to the other thing that happened yesterday. While Nancy Pelosi was speaking and while the Democrats were holding this, Donald Trump was talking to Republicans over at the Kennedy Center. Now he's talking to them over there, and because they have these briefings with the president and members, Republicans often, and he has to have it at the Kennedy Center because there's nothing else going on over there, and he has to give these people something to do.
And it's a pretty space, or at least
it is very pretty, but it's not the place that this stuff ever would have happened before.
Friends, it is about to look like the goddamn Bolshoi in Moscow, which is
all 1,000%.
Filigree, and but that was created during Tsarist times when they were into building. Like that's what the Kennedy Center is about to look like. But anyway, go ahead.
So we have quite a few clips of him now. On the thumbnail for this show, I put he's lost his mind, because he has. And this went on for quite a while, and there's a lot more crazy stuff where this came from. But let's start with him talking about the midterms, what's going to happen to him if Republicans don't win. I believe it's this one. I think.
Policy, how we have to even run against these people. Now, I won't say cancel the election. They should cancel the election because the fake news will say, he wants the elections canceled. He's a dictator. They always call me a dictator.
My friends, I'm sorry it only took us 47 minutes to get to this.
Yeah.
Because he's telling you what's going to happen. What's going to happen. They are going to try, mark my words, it is now January 7th, 2026. He's going to try to cancel the election. Now, I don't think he can, because it is, first of all, elections happen in states and they're regulated by states, but he's going to try. He is.
And he goes on to talk about third term, and he says it, but I don't know if we can do that. But then at the end, he kind of threatens something. And I think that this is, again, he's telling on himself that there is a plan.
And I guess I'm not allowed to run. I'm not sure. Is there a little something out there that I'm not allowed to run? But let's assume I was allowed to run. I could have, there's going to be a constitutional movement. No, I could have.
There's going to be a constitutional movement.
Well, great. If they want to pass a constitutional amendment or try to, fantastic. They're not going to be able to get the requisite numbers in the Senate and the House, and they're not going to be able to get the requisite number of states to do it. But God bless. Go try.
Yep.
Go try.
And then he mentions, because again, he's always telling on himself. So he's talking about the midterms because he knows that they're going to lose. So he's like, maybe I'll cancel the election, but then I'm a dictator, and they say I'm a dictator. But so maybe I'll run again, but they say I can't. But is there a little something there because there might be a constitutional movement that's going to happen? And then he starts talking about himself being impeached, because again, I think being impeached, while he tries to act like he's proud of it, kind of like his mugshot kind of thing, he again is talking about it in a way he's bluffing, because I think it was humiliating to him that this happened. I think he doesn't like that this happened to him, that he was held accountable.
Well, he's also trying to make impeachment so politically unpopular that he doesn't get impeached again, right? This is like him. This is the play. Like, he keeps talking about being impeached like it's a source of pride for me. So Democrats, if you want to go try again,
right. Like, I don't care.
Listen, I think that what he's doing in Venezuela right now is so extra constitutional that he should not just be impeached, but removed by the Senate, who is supposed to authorize war.
Exactly.
If we're going to get a war against Greenland, then, and it sounds like, it's interesting. On the one hand, you've got all of these people like Stephen Miller talking about that we're going to get Greenland, whether by force or, by coercion or whatever. But if we need to send the military there, we will. And then Marco Rubio is walking it back. Oh, no, we're going to buy Greenland. Greenland's not for sale.
No.
Greenland's not for sale.
No. Let's play now. Let's play the impeach clip.
They impeached me. I never knew I was going to be impeached. I get a phone call. You just got impeached. I said, what does that mean? It took them 10 minutes. They impeached the president who did.
He's so transparent. Again, always telling on himself. And then because it's January 6th, I mean, the irony here, I don't even know that he knows he's being ironic, or if he is just trying to troll. I never know with him these days, honestly. He talks about law enforcement.
Percent of your company. He goes, whoa. I said, yeah, I think I can help you with the problem, but you got to give the United States, not me. Sometimes I'll say, give me, but when I say me, I'm talking about, I'd love to accept it, but I don't think that law enforcement would like that, right? I'm very cognizant of law enforcement, perhaps more than anybody in history.
Anybody in history, more than anyone in history. And again, victim. And he talks about Andrew Jackson.
But Andrew Jackson was treated horribly. He was a great general and a good president. So bad that his wife died. I mean, his wife died. They were horrible. But I just saw a report came out the other day. I blow them away. He never got impeached twice. I got impeached twice or nothing. On a perfect.
There it is again. There it is again.
If you're Native American and you voted for Donald Trump, by the way, he worships a guy who was responsible for the trail of tears, but that's neither here nor there. Look, this obsession with Andrew Jackson, he couldn't pick Andrew Jackson out of a lineup. It's ridiculous. Somebody told him Andrew Jackson, but this whole thing about blowing everybody away because he got impeached twice as a source of pride. You guys, he's telegraphing to us like, I'm not worried. You're worried. You should be worried. I'm not worried. He's terrified that he's going to have to go through impeachment again if Democrats get control of the House, which is why he wants to cancel elections. There's a through line to all of this, right? Like in his mind, now that we know how his little beady mind works, I'm worried about getting impeached again. I'm going to pretend that I'm not worried about getting impeached again. I'm going to try to do a Jedi mind trick, just his version of a Jedi mind trick, which fools nobody, on the Democrats by saying, no, this is not the droid you're looking for. I'm not looking to get impeached. And ultimately, I am terrified that when Democrats regain the House of Representatives next January, if we have elections, that I'm going to get impeached again. Translation, I don't want elections. But if I cancel them, I'm going to be called a dictator. So I'm going to socialize you the notion of not getting, of not having free and fair elections. I'm going to start socializing you now so that when the time comes, you're not going to be surprised. Much like January 6th, it's just going to be something that's accepted.
Right. And to the point of his beating the little mind, and he doesn't really ever come out and say this stuff. He always is just, again, can you imagine having to sit in this room and listen to this man talk for an hour and a half? Kill me. But he talks and he knows he rambles and he knows he's losing his mind. And this is why he's come up with a name for what it is that he does called the weave, which is just stream of consciousness, meandering, talking. He talks about
Let
this.
me just finish up because, I weave. I love to weave. If you ever weave and don't come back to the point, then that's a problem. Then you say, but when you weave and you go here and boom, 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 always coming back, then you're in good shape. But what's happening is by doing what I did, we're getting numbers that are so low. But what did I do to the countries?
What? And just so people know where his mind is. So he's talking about that. He's talking about being a dictator. He's talking about canceling elections. He did go on a tirade about trans athletes and then did his famous thing. And then he talks about how Melania hates when he does that, which again, always telling on himself, I was like, your wife hates you. And then he talks to the photographers, asking them to make him look good.
But we have one thing that's really strong. Uh-oh, it's a fake news. Pulitzer Prize, right, Doug? Pulitzer Prize. He got one for the bullet. He had the bullet, but he got how many Pulitzer Prizes? 3 Pulitzer Prizes, and all talented guys. These are great guys. I don't like the people back there as well. These are the ones that take the pictures. Make me look thin for a change, Doug. You're making me look a little bit heavy. I'm not happy about it. But one thing I did see and find out in the last 2 months, when you tell the people.
There's so many layers to this, starting with, and I just want to say this as someone who was a photographer. And while I did not mainly do photojournalism, it is something I did once in a while. I want people to look around rooms and press conferences and things, and I want people to look down in the pit of photographers and count the women. If there's any, maybe 2.
Yep.
And that's not a new thing. That's always been the case. It is an extremely male-dominated area of photography, is photojournalism. And a lot of times women get trampled on in those spaces, physically trampled on, it's difficult. And so for him to be like, my guys down here, I'm just like, it makes me sick. But then, yeah, and he clearly is very cognizant of like the pictures that have been going around of him looking really ugly and chunks, which is clearly bothering him. So please do not stop sharing those photos of him. Right, Julie?
I mean, listen, from my perspective, this guy is like, but think about how this mind works, right? His mind works in that it's never his fault.
No.
Even the camera lies. I mean, hey, Michelle, you know what? I'll give you an example. I had a pretty rough night last night. I didn't really put any makeup on. So why is the camera not making me look like I have makeup on so I could look a little bit better and not as pale and sleep deprived?
Right.
Why is the camera doing that to me, Michelle?
This is a terrible camera. Somebody get me a new camera.
This is a terrible camera. This is a horrible camera. I can't believe this camera is not putting makeup on my face.
Yeah.
Like nothing is ever this guy's responsibility. He's not responsible for anything. Anything good that happens, he gets credit for. Anything bad that he does, he's not responsible. It's the Democrats that incited the insurrection on January 6th, not Donald Trump.
Nope.
It's the camera that's making Donald Trump look fat, not the filet of fish, not the photographers, not the filet of fish and the Big Macs and the fries and the Cokes that he eats in one sitting.
Yeah, which again, please go read that Wall Street Journal story about his health, because people talk about recently how amazed and alarmed they were at how much how many fast food meals he eats in one sitting.
But that was from before. I think he's on some sort of...
Oh, yeah. I think he's probably on GLP-1 now.
He's on a GLP-1 now, right? He's like an Ozempic or something right now because he has lost weight.
Fine.
Which, God bless. So maybe he's not eating that kind of food anymore, but great. Great,
malnourished.
congratulations. But is it the photographer's fault that you look thinner than you used
Right.
to?
I was like, maybe you're not eating enough protein, Donald. You're not getting enough protein.
Yeah, I mean,
Probably it.
like, what are you, a girl, like a 15-year-old girl who's worried about her weight?
I know.
By the way, by doing this, this
Exactly.
obsession in MAGA world with appearance.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if anybody here saw Kristi Noem yesterday. She reappeared. I think she's
No.
been kind of missing in action because I think
Thank God.
she had more work done. She has so much work done right now that truly it is impossible to see any humanity in her face. Like it's all I don't know if it's plastic, like it's beyond, Michelle. That was what it used to be. That's what it used to be. Now put in about 5 more pounds of filler and God knows more surgery. Her nose looks like Michael Jackson's. It's basically gone.
Really?
Oh my God. And she's
Oh,
always
I have to go Google this.
she's always wearing the hat, and she's wearing the hat because obviously the extensions are growing out or whatever she's doing. She doesn't want, like, this obsession in Donald Trump's world of what grown adults look like.
Mm-hmm.
Such a waste of time to me.
It's not even the male gaze anymore. It's like the dictator gaze because again, and I would love to do a dispatch on this someday soon, actually. Because I saw a TikTok about this and it actually got me thinking, and it has been something I've Googled, is Vladimir Putin's history of plastic surgery.
Oh my God, insane.
Like,
insane.
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 And that they all do it because deep down inside of them is pain. There is pain inside of all of them. And listen, there's nothing I am all for surgery. I am all for injectables. Do whatever you want to yourself, right? But in this case, it's not like I'm saying like it's wrong, don't do it. Like do whatever you want. But
They don't do it for themselves though. They do it.
Right. They do it for other people. They do
Right.
it to fit into this trend or tribe, or it's like the cult uniform, really? You know what I mean? It's like a cult.
Well, if you want to be a part of us, you got to go under the knife.
Right.
And
You gotta play, you gotta do the thing. You gotta look like us.
You've got to permanently change the way you look.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is no going back now for Kristi Noem.
Oh, no.
There's no going back for Kimberly Guilfoyle, by the way, who the New York Times, we'll talk more about this on Friday with Jeff, but the New York Times did what I could only consider
a BJ.
A BJ. It was a blowjob. Sorry, Dad.
Sorry, Julie's dad.
Sorry, Dad, because I know that's
what you're reading. Julie texted me that the other day, and I was like,
"Yeah, you really don't want to hear that from your daughter's mouth." So sorry about that, Dad. But
I guess sorry to my dad too.
Yeah, sorry, Mr. Kinney, about that one too. But it really was. I don't know how else to describe it. I mean, it was this glowing profile of Kimberly Guilfoyle and how beautiful she is, and how she wore the see-through dress to some gala in Athens, and how everybody in Greece wants to meet her. And she's this mysterious figure that if you're anybody, you want to meet her in Athens, and how she's just this. And then paragraph 87, they get to, oh, by the way, she was fired from Fox News for sexual harassment. My friends, I sat next to Kimberly Guilfoyle on the 5 for a long time. And let me tell you something. I spent a lot of time around Kimberly Guilfoyle. No bueno.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
And the person that she was alleged to have sexually harassed, I know that young woman.
Mm.
You don't write stories like that. I'm sorry. I don't know what the hell is happening in the New York Times, because it's not like they're owned by Jeff Bezos. I don't know what Salzburgers are like. I saw that. And by the way, that was written by Elizabeth B. Miller, who's actually a legit reporter.
I wonder if it was just one of those things. It was like a means to an end. They told her she had to write this in order to write something else. I don't know. I don't know what it's like the Jacob Bernstein thing. And he was writing about a living news. I was like, what are you doing? I'm like, it must be a means to an end. It must be. And I know we're gonna probably go over here a little bit here, but I did just want to play just to get into this Maduro Venezuela thing for a minute. He does mention the dance, because this has been mentioned. There's two things about Venezuela that, again, are just the epitome of Donald Trump, its administration, and like the downfall of this country. Number one, we invaded a country for oil, yes, but also was triggered by the fact that Maduro did a dance that Donald Trump felt was him making fun of him, and he didn't like it. And so that's why we went in and bombed them. And the other being the Nobel Peace Prize that he feels that Machado should have given to him.
Yep.
So I'm going to play the dance clip first, and then I'm going to play a clip of Adam Kinzinger, who was on CNN yesterday talking about this.
They've been after this guy for years and years and years. And, he's a violent guy. He gets up there and he tries to imitate my dance a little bit. But he's a violent guy. And he's killed millions of people. He's tortured. They have a torture chamber in the...
True.
All true. But again, he mentions the dance before the torture. And again, because he doesn't like someone making fun of his dance.
But it's about him.
Right, exactly. And then Adam Kinzinger mentions this on CNN about the Peace Prize.
The Washington Post reported yesterday that a source said the reason the opposition leader is not going to be put in charge is because she won the Nobel Peace Prize and Donald Trump wanted her to give it to him. I mean, if we are doing foreign policy on the basis of a 12-year-old's hurt feelings, I mean, America should be very worried about that. So to the extent I'm supportive of Maduro being captured and tried, sure, he is a terrible man, but you need to have a post-game. The post-game is not simply, we're going to leave the same people in charge, or we're going to work with our version of Maduro if they allow us to have access to oil. And this is the problem, is the administration has not told the American people. Certainly they haven't told Congress. Evidently they did tell oil executives prior, though, what the plan is, and I think that should concern most Americans, to be quite honest with you.
And to remind people, when he was on Air Force One, said this to the cameras. He gave a heads up to the oil companies before and after we went into Venezuela. But yeah.
Look, what we're dealing with here is a narcissist in the truest sense of the word.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, psychiatrists would have a field day diagnosing him. What is upsetting to me is every Republican knows this in the Senate and most in the House. Some of them are true believers, but most of them know. And yet it's like the emperor has no clothes. I mean, none of them want to say it.
Oh, I have this clip. Sorry. Mike Johnson was asked yesterday in a gaggle. I'm not even going to set it up. Just, this is it.
Regime change. This is a demand for change of behavior by a regime. We have a way of persuasion, because their oil exports, as you know, have been...
Sorry, just listen to the beginning again.
It's not a regime change. This is a demand for change of behavior by a regime.
What?
This is not a regime change. We're just going to change the regime.
I mean, what the hell? Like, what? We're supposed to, but the part that kills me is like, he's saying this and we're supposed to just believe it. Like, he's expecting us to be like, oh, Mr. Speaker. Oh, okay.
Oh, right. Okay. Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Got it.
I don't have brown hair. I just have hair that's brown.
It's like, well, if you're changing, then you're growing. And then so if you go to our Instagram, I did like a mashup of a funny thing, because I actually got the idea from The Daily Show, who they played that clip, and then they played that famous clip by Vanilla Ice. Remember when he was getting sued by David Bowie, and he was like, dun, 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 dun. Anyways, go on The Daily Show. It's very, very funny. Beside the point. But it's ridiculous. He's like, no. It's not a regime change. It's just the regime is changing. I'm like, well, if it's changing, it's different. Then it's changed.
The regime is changing, I guess, organically. Organically, Maduro decided he was going to step down.
Yeah. We're not changing the regime. We're just...
Well, he's not wrong. We're actually not changing the regime. We're just changing out the guy at the top.
Right.
So let me give Mike Johnson credit. If this is what he meant, I agree with him. It's actually not regime change. We're keeping the same horrible Marxist murderers who are oppressing their own people in charge. And all the reasons that we are claiming that we went in there, whether it's drugs, bullshit, or it's oil, true, the same people are still running the show. It's just that, so the regime is not being changed. We're just changing the guy at the top, who was clearly sold out by his own vice president so that she could become president.
Right.
I mean, okay. So what would have happened if we had... What would happen in Ukraine today if we decided to kill Vladimir Putin, but decided to install Dmitry Medvedev as foreign president of Russia at the top?
It's like regime change, kinda, but
kinda.
Nah.
No.
I mean, because like it would be like putting JD Vance in after Donald Trump. Would that be a regime change? I mean, like sorta. Do you know what
Sorta.
I mean? Like sorta. It's like kind of regime changey, but not.
The policies would probably remain the same.
It might be worse.
Worse.
Funny enough. Not funny, but funny. And then meanwhile, so when we're talking about this is the clip I wanted to play about what's going on with the EU, Denmark, and NATO. Because again, we can't stop. We just need to be doing this everywhere.
Today, 6 of our key European allies are publicly denouncing the Trump administration's claim that Greenland rightfully belongs to the U.S., writing in a statement that the island actually belongs to its people. That statement bolsters Denmark's warnings that any American attempt to take control of the territory would endanger NATO. The country's prime minister said if the U.S. makes a move, it would mean an end to not only the alliance, but also the entire regional security apparatus established at the end of World War II.
So here's the deal. Trump can't withdraw us from NATO unilaterally because we are it's a treaty, right? And he can't just abrogate a treaty unilaterally. So, but he wants to get us out of NATO because that's what his mentor / boss / whatever, Vladimir Putin wants. And so he's decided to collapse NATO from within just by doing what he's doing. This is a way to get around the Senate because he knows he doesn't have the votes to abrogate the treaty in the Senate. Mm-hmm. And rather than pulling us out of NATO peacefully, he's going to pull us out of NATO by doing this in Greenland. I mean, that's what this is all about.
Mm-hmm. He's going to do the weave.
Yeah, it's the weave. But in this case, it really is the weave. It's actually a pretty brilliant way of getting around the Senate in the same way that he's trying to get around the Senate on everything else, including this war in Venezuela. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And at which point does John Thune, the Senate Majority Leader, wake up and realize, hey, he's giving you the middle finger.
Which again, John Thune was asked in front of a gaggle, like, did you see what Donald Trump or what the White House is putting on the White House website? And he's like, oh, I haven't seen it. It's the same thing when they same thing when they asked Mike Johnson what's going on. He's like, oh, I haven't watched the news. I'm like, yeah, you're trying to tell me the Majority Leader and the Speaker of the House do not watch the news? They do not know what's going on? Please stop. Stop lying. Stop lying. And, and again, like, this is where I go back. You can go back, see yesterday's show or Google it, Stephen Miller crashing out on CNN. Because again, listen, as crazy as that was, Stephen Miller going off on Jake Tapper, it did kind of give us a little bit of insight into what's going on in their minds and what's going on in Stephen Miller's brain and what the ultimate plan is here. Because it is sometimes hard to make sense of like what they're doing and why they're doing it. It's like other than just world domination, right? It gave us some insight. And, Katie Miller, who is Stephen Miller's wife, her profile somehow has been lifted because they gave her a podcast and she worked for Elon Musk and she's not like, I can't. Tom Nichols even just tweeted yesterday, like, high school and college must have been really hard for Stephen Miller. And then, of course, she quote tweets with a video of him talking on C-SPAN about the Duke lacrosse players because he was at Duke when all like the lacrosse players were being accused of sexual assault, which they were found not guilty of. And he was kind of the mouthpiece for them going out on the news as a college student at Duke at the time where he was friends with Richard Spencer, a white nationalist. He was running his mouth and I was like, okay, so, the Duke lacrosse team was the Winklevoss twins and you were Mark Zuckerberg and like, they needed to just get you to do something for them. Like, that's like, no, they didn't like you. They just needed you to be their henchman and go out and do something for you. Like these are the cool guys who row crew, paying the little minion to go out and do their bidding.
He was implying that Stephen Miller was cool because he was hanging out with the Duke lacrosse team?
Because he was out on TV defending them. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right. I'm like, right. And then, of course, in the comments were all the videos of Stephen Miller in high school, in the back of the bus talking about how he likes torture and people should be tortured. I mean, this kid is sick.
He's sick.
I want somebody to write a book about Stephen Miller. Somebody, maybe somebody already is. Deep dive. I mean, I'm talking go interview every person that kid ever met when he was growing up. I know that he has a couple family members who have come forward to speak, but there needs to be more. There needs to be a Mary Trump situation with Stephen Miller because we need to. I need to. I don't know about the rest of you. I need to know what happened to him. What happened to him, other than the fact that his well-off father lost his job, something about Santa Monica Pier or something like that, lost some contract. It's that they had to move from their very affluent white neighborhood where they had like nannies and housekeepers to a more working class neighborhood where his neighbors were more Hispanic, speaking Spanish, people of different backgrounds. And that was when he was around 12 or 13 years old, and everything changed. It has to be more than that. Or maybe that just is it. I don't know. But like, I need to know. I need to know. I just do. Like Adolf Hitler, I mean, is a sick person, but also like didn't get into art school. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's things about these people. It makes sense.
Yeah.
I can't make sense of Stephen Miller.
Oh, I can make sense of Stephen Miller.
He just came out of the womb like, oh.
Are you kidding me? I can make sense out of Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller, and I'm sorry to say this to people who are not, who struggled in high school, because a lot of people who struggled in high school took that empathy and became better people. But there are people like Stephen Miller, and I know one or two others like him, who were complete and utter losers in high school.
But he was a bully in high school.
But he was a bully to people in high school because he was bullied in high school, right? So he always punched down.
Yeah.
And
hurt people. Right. Yeah.
And he decided that he was going to grow up and he was going to get revenge on anybody who was ever mean to him. And that's what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what he's doing. There's no empathy. I know somebody exactly like this. I really do. Mm-hmm. And I've thought about this man for a very long time because I used to be friends with him. And I will tell you, his entire mission in life is to grow close to powerful people so that he can use his proximity to power to punch down.
Is this Lindsey Graham we're speaking? No, not Lindsey. No, I'm just.
It was not a point.
No.
Tried to be, but failed. Wow. And that's what it is. That's what it is. I mean, proximity to power so that he can punch down because he was punched in the face when he was growing up. You are always who you were in high school. That's my theory. I don't think you evolve much, right? Whoever you were. Because the truth is, if you were
slightly awkward,
diagnosed
ADHD.
But when you were in high school, well, not you, but when people are in high school, right? Like if they're not popular, they can go one of two ways. They can decide that they're going to get close to people who are in power so they can wreak vengeance on everybody who ever hurt them, or they develop empathy. We know which way Stephen Miller went.
Yeah. There is a stand-up comedian, and maybe I'll find it and we can play it on the show. There's a stand-up comedian who went to high school with Stephen Miller and was friends with him. Like friends.
Yeah.
And talks about what an asshole he was. He goes, you might want to think that Stephen Miller was his, but he wasn't. He was a bad guy. He was like, everybody hated him because he was an asshole.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like there's a reason why he might not have been popular, because he was an asshole. Because he's obviously awkward and unsure of himself and the way to be like Trump, right? The way you're going to pretend, not that I'm sitting here psychoanalyzing people I don't know, but like we all know this person. The reason Trump goes overboard is because he's ultimately insecure, right? That's why
because his dad didn't love him.
His dad didn't love him.
And he might be in the closet.
I think he's in the closet. I've always thought he was in the closet. I am 100% convinced.
One last thing before we go. One last thing, really quick. So I watched this, and I know you can't talk about it, so don't respond if you can't.
Okay.
I was watching a documentary about Roger Ailes the other day, and I forget what it was called. I forget what it was called, but it was like about kind of like his life and his rise to Fox News and his background. And I didn't know that he took tap dance class to like exercise. He went to tap dance like school as an adult. And I was like, there it is. Yet again, another asshole conservative person who couldn't do musicals and couldn't be in show business. So they decided to go into right-wing MAGA politics or media and destroy the world.
Well, you know, Roger Ailes was a Broadway producer, right?
Why does no one mention this?
Oh no, it's well known. He was a Broadway.
But I've watched so many things on Roger Ailes. I've never.
He was,
heard
yeah. He was a Broadway producer.
What did he produce?
A couple. I think he produced one big show, and then I think he failed at everything else. And that's
because like back in those days,
back
in those days, you could have one producer for a show or two producers. You now like there's like 100 people under the title because it takes too much money. They need to raise money from literally everyone on planet Earth. But back then, it was like one producer, maybe two.
Well, I can't say anything about Roger Ailes, unfortunately.
No.
I'm bound by a non-disclosure agreement there. If Paul Ryan wants to release me from that non-disclosure
agreement. People want to write letters to Paul Ryan and ask Paul Ryan to release women from their NDAs, that would be great.
Anybody wants to write a letter to Fox News, and specifically to Paul Ryan, asking for me to be released from my NDA, I'm more than happy to share my views on Roger Ailes and your theory about him tap dancing and your theory about Donald Trump's whether it's
saying
there. So
we talked about overcorrections before, and I'm just saying there might be overcorrections in other places. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying that maybe there needs to be it's the same thing with Donald Trump. Couldn't be in show business, so he's going to steal the Kennedy Center and make himself the host. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
All these broken people who couldn't do theater.
Broken men.
Yeah.
And women who are now running our country. These are broken people. Broken in every way. Yep. All right. On that note, it is great to see you guys. We will be back here tomorrow for another episode of the Morning Show. We are also, I'm going to be here at 11 a.m. with Olga for
tomorrow.
Thursday. Yes, tomorrow for Pax Americana, which you might want to change the name of that show because their Pax Americana is now dead. But we'll be back here for that. Friday, we'll be back here for Jeff Jarvis. And Saturday, we'll be here for Saturdays for Sanity.
Yep.
And Sanity Saturdays. Saturdays for Sanity. Sanity.
Saturday for Sanity.
Yeah, Saturday for Sanity.
Saturdays because they are. Saturdays are for our sanity. Yeah. And then when are we doing the Americans? Jill asks. We are trying. I've got a doodle out to everybody who is doing the show. We might just have to kick a couple of people to the curb, one of them being my husband, who refuses to fill out the form to say when he's available. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, everyone. And I just also want to thank everyone who has volunteered, or I at least volunteered you as people to help us monitor the chat during the show so that I can focus on giving you clips and content and not having to respond to trolls either, because sometimes it does take my attention away and I try not to. And I did see that there was one guy in particular who was being extra not nice today. And we have noticed him over the last several weeks, kind of borderline. So thank you everybody for handling that today. I really appreciate all of you and for all of you just showing up. We are still trying to get together with Lieutenant Colonel Urso to talk about the legality of what's going on with our foreign policy, as well as in addition to what's happening with Mark Kelly. So on that note, everyone have a wonderful day and we will see you later.
Bye, everybody.
Trump.